Yo, what's up, guys? Faramar here, back again with another Feral Druid PvE guide. Alright, so I've been getting a lot of questions lately. They're like, hey, you put out any new videos yet lately? Any new guides? Have you updated your old one? Anything like that? And you know what? To be honest, no. I have not updated my PvE guide. So, here we are. This is going to be the ultimate PvE Feral Druid guide for patch 8.3. It's going to go over everything. It's going to go over your raid corruptions, your raid essences, talents, traits. It's going to go over M+, talents, traits, corruptions, whatever. So, yeah, this is going to be packed. So it's going to have all of your information you need to know for raiding and all your information that you need to know if you want to push high keys, okay? So let's just jump into it, all right? So the first thing we're going to go ahead and start with is going to obviously be the strengths and weaknesses of Feral Druid. If you're new to Feral Druid, right, you haven't played Feral Druid, maybe you're coming back to your Feral Druid, maybe you're just, you burnt out and you're just getting back into the patch now. Okay, let's go over the strengths and weaknesses of Feral Druid. One, we have incredibly strong AoE damage. Primal Wrath, as well as Triple Wild Flesh Rending MOC is also extremely powerful. I'll go over that later as well. We have tons of AoE burst. Feral is very good in the AoE situation, which in previous expansions was definitely not the case. So you might be asking yourself, what the heck? Well, when did that happen? It happened in 8.1.5 when Ferals got their first rework this expansion, right? Okay, we also have strong single target damage. We're not the top of the list for single target damage, but we are definitely far from the bottom. AoE speed buff and Stampeding Roar. We got good off-healing support mechanisms such as dispelling curses and poisons. Battle res is always really good. We have a good amount of that support kind of carry kind of balance, right? Our weaknesses, really, the number one weakness, I went over this in my last video, is we're not a rogue, right? We don't have Cloak of Shadows. We don't have the mass stealth, right? Shroud. But something that has been really nice this M+ season is with the new Awakened affix, right? You can skip all the mobs you want anyways. So the roguelike Shroud is not as valuable anymore because of the current affix. So I would say Ferals are, they're competitive with rogues in M+. You can attack me for that all you want, but I actually think it's true. So there you go. Another thing is Balance and Resto Druids also take up half of our utility, as well as provide Innervate. So, if your group already has a Resto Druid or a Balance Druid, probably don't want a Feral Druid. You can make arguments either way. But yeah, so anyways, all right, let's go ahead and jump into our essences. So essences for raiding and essences for M+ are essentially the same, okay? I'll make one exception, but let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, so your major essence, you're going to want Blood of the Enemy rank 3, okay? This is going to be your major essence for pretty much all tiers of the game, except PvP. And the reason is it gives you massive AoE damage and it buffs all of your massive AoE damage at the same time, right? So it's just very good synergy with the Feral kit. Okay, the Miner is also really good because it gives you crit stacks as well as a burst of haste, which is also really good for your AoE damage. So there's really nothing wrong at all with Blood of the Enemy. Every single aspect of the Blood of the Enemy Major Essence is perfect for a Feral Druid. If you do not have Blood of the Enemy Major rank 3, then I recommend that you run with Focusing Iris, which is the AoE beam. It also does a good chunk of damage, but it's not quite as powerful as Blood of the Enemy, because Blood of the Enemy not only gives you huge AoE burst, it also gives you huge single target burst, so it's very good. Minor Essences. There's one tweak to these, and I will talk about it in a second. Lucid Dreams, very good for energy regen as well as giving you versatility procs. Breath of the Dying, very good for giving you overall damage as well as some healing. And then it also, if you look at the bottom there, it gives you corruption resistance of 10, right? So very good if you want to start stacking that, OP corruption. There's really nothing bad about Breath of the Dying. And then Conflict and Strife gives you a bunch of versatility, which gives you flat damage and damage reduction during your fights. The one alteration I would make to that is Conflict and Strife. You can change that out for Purification Protocol Miner if you want. Both are very good for AoE situations. Conflict and Strife is better for a single target situation. But dungeons like Underrot and as well as the Awakened stuff, right? They're all aberrations, so Purification Protocol is very strong there as well. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the rating talents now. All right, so for your standard rotation, your standard feral build, right, you're going to want to go Sabertooth with Soul of the Forest with Brutal Slash and Blood Talents. You might ask, why is he running Mass Entanglement? Mass Entanglement is very good this tier, primarily because we have, with Mass Entanglement, we're able to run an insane amount of corruption and be fine, right? When Thing from Beyond comes out to come and hit you, right, you can mass entangle it, right, just immediately. You can also use your predatory swiftness to instant root the Thing from Beyond as well. So ferals are extremely good at dealing with Thing from Beyond. We can shift the corruption slow. We can get out of the eyes very easily with our 3-yard range from the balance affinity, which you can see here. Really, feral is very good at dealing with corruption. So, yeah, something to think about there. In my previous video, I was talking about the Incarn build. Incarn build is still really good. It's just not as consistent as this build. But, trust me, there are some Incarn. I've run Incarn on a few fights, and the amount of damage is insane if you just get constant Incarnation procs. So, if you want to run that, definitely go for it. This is the build that I prefer. This is the build that I recommend right now. If you are going to run this build, you need to run Critical Strike as your main stat, then Mastery, then Haste, then Versatility. If you are, if you're going to run the Incarn build, then your main stat is going to be Critical Strike up to about 25%, then Versatility, then Haste, then Mastery. Okay, with the Incarn build, most of your damage is coming from your Shreds. With the Standard build, most of your damage is going to come from your Sabertooths. Alright, your Ferocious Bites. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the Raid Azerite traits. So, Azerite traits for Feral Druid raiding. Number 1 traits are going to be Jungle Fury, Heart of Darkness. You can get these 3, you can get 3 times Jungle Fury and 3 times Heart of Darkness with the 3 Azerite pieces from the raid, okay? The 3 Azerite pieces from the raid, I believe it drops off of Mott, Vexiona, and Il'gynoth. That's going to be the head, the shoulders, and the chest piece. A tier, Wild Flesh Rending, still a very good trait, just not keeping up with Heart of Darkness and Jungle Fury when it comes to raiding, right? Like, pure, like, single target, maybe 2 or 3 target cleave every here and there. Jungle Fury and Heart of Darkness is going to take over there, but Wild Flesh Rending, still a very good trait. B tier, these are the things you might not think about. Maybe you get an Azerite piece that has Jungle Fury, or you get an Azerite piece that has Heart of Darkness, and you're like, what do I run next to it? It doesn't have either or. It doesn't have both, right? Untamed Ferocity is very good. It's going to buff the damage of everything that is not a finisher. And then Gushing Lacerations is very good for buffing the damage of your rips, okay? So, also it procs an extra combo point, still very good. Alright, let's go ahead and jump into Raid Corruption now. Your absolute must-need is going to be the Devouring Vitality. This comes from the Mott weapon. Any difficulty is good. This Azerite trait, this Corruption is the exact same damage value across the board, okay? That means you can get the 430 Raid Finder one, you can get the 445 normal one, the 460 Heroic one, the 475 Mythic one. That Corruption is going to pump no matter what item level you are able to acquire. Just acquire it as soon as you can. Gushing Wounds. This is by far the best trait for the amount of corruption that it takes. Gushing Wounds deals on a 475 piece about 17,000 damage over a 7-second window for 15 corruption. It's insane. Gushing Wounds, very good. It applies on your AoE. It applies on your single target. It applies on like everything. So Gushing Wounds, very good. Twisting Appendage. This thing can pop off. You can get 2 or 3 tentacles popping 30k a hit, and it does insane amounts of damage if you get these procs. Severe and Strike Through, both of these are very good. They basically are critical strike modifiers. Strike Through gives you the bonus crit damage that you might have thought about with the old Mythic bracers, right? And then Severe just gives you flat bonus critical strike, which with the standard Feral build, you can't have enough critical strike. I just recommend critical strike all day long. B tier, Infinite Stars is very good. If you are going to be running a bunch of Infinite Stars, or you're heavy on Infinite Stars, which I have in my gear as well because I haven't been lucky with Gushing Wounds or Twisting Appendages, haste is going to be a little bit higher priority on your stat priority. So think about that. Simming, you might even be having to run Iris Minor for that bonus haste from there as well. Masterful, Versatile, and Honed Mind. Basically, these are Mastery and Versatility procs, as well as Honed Mind giving you the Mastery proc. These are good as well. If you can't get any of the top ones, try and get these B tier ones. They will also hold you up in DPS as well. Note, Infinite Stars is not very good in any situation that is more than 1 or 2 targets. Okay? Alright. Trinkets for raiding, okay? Absolute best trinkets are going to be your Razor Coral and your segment of Dristageth, right? So both of these are on use. I don't recommend running both at the same time, although running both at the same time tends to actually be pretty good as well. I recommend running one or the other, right? And then follow up with an A tier here, which you can see here is going to be Torment in the Jar, Tiny Electromental in a Jar, Deadeye Spyglass, and the Remote Guidance Device. All of these are going to be very good. Just a note, if you are running the Segment of Dressing or you are running the Razor Coral, right? I don't recommend the Remote Guidance Device. If you don't have either one of those, get the Remote Guidance Device and run one of the other passive trinkets, okay? Then after that, you can get your Harlans or your Gale Callers. Both of those are good. They aren't amazing, but they are good. So just kind of a thought there, all right? M+. All right, so a lot of you guys had a lot of questions about my last M+ video. Let's go ahead and step into Mythic Plus here. S tier traits, Jungle Fury, Wild Flesh Running. S tier, all the way. The AoE that you get from these and the sustain crit that you get from these is amazing. A tier after that is going to be Heart of Darkness and Gushing Lacerations. The reason Gushing Lacerations moves up for the M+ traits is because you're going to be applying Primal Wrath, which applies massive amounts of rips, and Gushing Lacerations gives you lots of damage on your rips. So it's very good there. And then B tier is still going to be that Untamed Ferocity. If you have that random trait and you don't know what to spend it on, Untamed Ferocity isn't bad. It buffs the damage of your swipes. It buffs the damage of your thrashes. Everything that isn't a finisher, right? So it can be very good. It's kind of like a weaker Wild Flesh Running, but it will also refresh the cooldown of your Incarn or your Berserk, right? Depending on which one you're running. So just food for thought. If you can't get any of the top 4, Untamed Ferocity isn't horrible. It's just not amazing, right? M+ Corruption, alright? So your number 1 corruption is going to be Twilight Devastation and Gushing Wounds. These are insane. Gushing Wounds applies on your AoE, like I said earlier. Twilight Devastation, if this thing pops off, oh my god, you will be topping the meters. You'll be hitting upwards of 400k DPS. Like, I have seen myself above 400k DPS sometimes. Like, 3 Twilight Devastation procs in a row, boom. Something to be careful about in M+, though, with Twilight Devastation, is if you're running in a bursting affix, or you are running in a bolstering affix, either one of those, Twilight Devastation can actually, like, wreck your group, right? It can destroy you. Like, if it kills a bunch of mobs and you are not meaning to kill those mobs, whew, you might be in for a bit of pain. So be careful with Twilight Devastation. Gushing Wounds is pretty much always good. It's just such a good corruption. All right. Next up, A tier is going to be Devouring Vitality, Twisted Appendages, right? So Twisted Appendages are good for single target. They're good for AoE. Like, they are just all around a very, consistent corruption to have. Devouring Vitality is going to give you a bunch of boss damage in the M+. And then B tier, you got your Severe, you got your Strike Through, Masterful, Versatile, Honed Mind, basically boosting those secondary stats, boosting your crit, boosting your mastery, boosting your versatility. All of those are very good. I just recommend the upfront damage procs because they kind of just shadow everything else when it comes to M+ damage. But anyways, that's going to be the order that I recommend there. All right, going into M+ trinkets, okay? We had a slight change in the priority of the trinkets here. You'll notice here that I took the Ashvane's Razor Coral off completely. Ashvane's Razor Coral is not very good in M+. So, for those of you that did not raid Eternal Palace and you're here, right? S tier is going to be your Torment in the Jar. It's going to be your Remote Guidance Device. It's going to be your Deadeye Spyglass, right? All of these, what do you notice with all of these, right? Remote Guidance Device, massive AoE. Torment in the Jar, passive and AoE. Deadeye Spyglass, passive, right? So these 3, right, mix these up, right? Deadeye Spyglass is going to give you a bunch of crit, and then even in an AoE situation, it'll apply it to one target. If you are focused on that target, you're auto-attacking that one target, you're going to get crit, and you can use that crit, obviously, everywhere in your AoE. So, very good trinket. A tier is going to be your Harlands and your Gale Colors. Gale Colors, the reason I suggest this one as an A tier trinket is because it gives you massive amounts of haste. So, if you go into a huge group, you apply your Thrashes, you apply your Primal Wrath, right, and then you pop Gale Colors, you're going to be popping off, dude. It's so much DPS. B tier is going to be your Segment of Dressagath and your Tiny Electromental in a jar. Segment of Dressagath is not amazing in an AoE situation. Tiny Electromental in a jar is not amazing in an AoE situation. Up to 3 targets, Tiny Electromental is good. But both of these are primarily single targets. So if you don't have any of the other ones, right, or you have both of these and they're high item level or something like that, they're going to be good on bosses. You're just going to be lacking a little bit of your AoE, right? So that's that. Alright, M plus talents. This is a section that I got a lot of questions on. A lot of people were like, hey, you know, this is your build. This is what you suggest, right? Sabertooth, Primal Wrath, Blood Talents. Well, what the heck, man? Like, all the other ferals are running Predator MOC. Alright, so, I want to clear things up. When I was originally testing this build, right, and don't get me wrong, I still recommend this build. I think this build is still amazing, right? The overall strengths of this build is you are simply changing out your Brutal Slash for Primal Wrath, which means you are maintaining as much single target damage as possible to kill bosses, okay, which Feral is very good at, while giving up the least amount of single target damage to have the most amount of AoE damage, right? So Primal Wrath. Alright. Predator MOC is very, very strong in AoE situations as long as you have 3 times Wild Flesh Rendings. You need the 3 times Wild Flesh Rendings. 2 times Wild Flesh Rendings, still good, not as good. But if you have 3 times Wild Flesh Rendings and you have 3 times Jungle Furies, Predator MOC, run it all day long. Like, it is actually amazing. Which I will go ahead and show you here. This is the second build, and I got my 3rd Wild Flesh Rending the other day, so I've been testing this one out a lot too. Very strong build. So, basically with Predator and 3 times Jungle Fury, you can keep up your 30% crit buff throughout most of the dungeon. Like, 70-80% uptime on that buff. It's extremely good. So yeah, these are the 2 builds that I recommend that you run in M+. If you're on a Tyrannical week, the damage from the Sabertooth Blood Talons build is actually going to be a little bit more valuable, but Predator MOC is actually still competitive in a single target situation. You're just going to be doing slightly less DPS in the single target. But it's still very competitive in the AoE situation as well. I would probably say if you have 3 times Wild Flesh Rending and 3 times Jungle Fury, Predator MOC is probably going to be your better choice. So, keep that in mind. If you do not have 3 times Wild Flesh Rending, 3 times Jungle Fury, Sabertooth Blood Talons is probably what I would recommend, but I'm going to leave that up to you guys. I am not saying this is not a viable build. I am saying this is an amazing build as well. It's just a little bit more trait dependent. Also, another thing to note with Predator MOC, you probably want to be taking a little bit more versatility than you'd be used to, because most of your damage is going to be coming from your swipes. So that's not buffed by your mastery. It's buffed by versatility. So another thing to keep in mind. But anyways, guys, I hope that I cleared up some confusion about maybe some of the suggestions I made in my last M+ video. I hope that this helped you guys in your rating choices for all of your gear as well. If you liked the video, please like down below. If you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I will be pushing out feral videos. Next weekend, I have another video planned, which is going to be a PvP video. PvP compilation video. I had a previous compilation video. If you guys are into that, check that out. It's on my channel. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helped you a lot. Please give me some feedback in the comments below. And have a good day, my friends.